My husband's drive has gone down, but mine has gone up. Is that normal? How much of a drop in libido is normal before it is a health concern? All right, our next one is how to feel sexy even though my partner and I don't look like our 20-year-old selves anymore. How do I navigate perimenopause? Okay, how to keep our sex life exciting as we get older. It feels like we've already tried everything. Really? Have you now?
Hello and welcome to the Pillow Talks podcast. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Xander Marin.
I'm a sex therapist with over 20 years of experience.
And I'm just a regular dude. We share the ups and downs in our relationship while giving you step-by-step techniques for improving yours.
Make sure you subscribe for your weekly double date full of totally doable sex tips, practical relationship advice, hilarious and honest stories of what really goes on behind closed bedroom doors, and so much more. It's the sex education you wish you'd had. Today we're diving into a topic that we have increasingly been getting more and more and more questions about. And I will say more insistent questions about, I need you to cover this topic.
Now.
And that is sex and aging. Is it because people think we're aging and they're like, you're getting old? Start talking about this now.
I don't know. They want us to get ahead of things.
Yeah, we get so many questions. I'm going to spoil alert and say we're going to start with one that always cracks me up. Are you ever too old to have sex?
Are you ever excused from sex?
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about how libido might change as you get older and how to feel confident in your changing body. If you're new here, hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist specializing in sex therapy, and I've been in this field for 23 years, which I guess does make me pretty old.
And I'm Xander. I am a licensed relationship expert.
What?
I'm a licensed man who's been in a relationship for 18 years.
What's your license?
Been in a relationship 18 years.
I don't think they give licenses out for that. Where'd you get this license? Who's your governing body?
From the state of don't worry about it.
That's pretty good.
The state of mind your own business. No, but for real, I don't have a license other than a Class C driver's license. But no, I've been in a relationship for a very long time. I've been married for a very long time. I've been working with Vanessa, who is pretty exceptional at what she does, for a very long time. And I am both kind of have the regular person's perspective of having been in a relationship and a marriage for a long time. But also I have a little more than that at this point. People used to get mad at me when I said I'm just a regular dude. Because maybe I was a regular dude at the beginning, but, you can't do this work. I've been doing this with you side by side for almost 5 years now. And I don't think you can really claim to just be like, oh, I'm just an everyday person when literally this is what we talk about day in and day out for the last 5 years. So, I have that regular person's perspective and more. I like to see things I try to take more of the everyday person's viewpoint and apply that to, some of the more, academic type of concepts that we talk about.
Your license is through osmosis.
Yes. Yeah, the classic through osmosis license. All right, well, let's just get right into it. Let's get into the big heavy hitter that everyone wants to know. How old is too old to have sex, right? There's got to be a cutoff. There's got to be a limit. It's not safe. It's going to kill you. We're just putting you off to pasture.
That's what I really wonder. What do people think happens when you get to a certain age?
Well, I mean,
they're asking.
I mean, your genitals don't just shrivel up and slowly die.
Don't say that. That's what people are going to believe you. No, I mean, obviously our bodies change as we get older, and you may have different challenges, different parts of your life than you would in earlier parts of your life. But there's no such thing as too old to have sex. As long as you're feeling good and want to stay connected to your partner, keep having sex. There isn't something, I feel like we're so afraid of aging in this country in particular that we just get really freaked out about it. And again, I want to acknowledge, of course there are changes, but you can still have a perfectly happy, active sex life for your entire life.
You might get too old to have certain types of acrobatic sex or certain types of extremely vigorous sex. But still, that's like on a case-by-case basis, right? Like, what is your fitness level? What is your ability level? There's no one-size-fits-all like, oh, well, yeah, once you get to 83, it's actually people who have sex at 83 and older just die. Like, there's no statistic that says that.
So we have done a really big poll of our community asking people about their sex lives. To date, oh my God, how many people have felt like... Last time I checked, it was like
over
70,000.
70,000.
Yeah. We might have even had more by this point. But we did look specifically at age. And we found that age actually did not have a huge impact on sexual frequency. So as age increases, we saw a slight decrease in sexual frequency. But in general, like most couples across the lifespan, across their ages, tended to fall into three groups. So we found that 75% of our respondents fell into three groups, and it was evenly split. So it was like 25, 25, 25. And those three groups were a couple of times a month, 2 to 3 times a month, once a week, and 2 to 3 times a week. And even as people got older, those were still the three most common age buckets.
Yeah. As people did get older, though, I think that as we started to get more into the extremes, it started to be more people shifted into the lower end of those three buckets.
But we did find something really interesting. People ages 50 plus are just as likely as people aged 18 to 29 to be having sex 4+ times a week, like 4 or more times a week.
Yeah. So like most people were in the once a month, 2 to 3 times a month, and 2 to 3 times a week. So the 4+ times a week is sort of like the higher end of the options that fewer people were in overall. But as you got older, you actually became more likely to be in that bucket. In addition to the fact that also more people were starting to get into the lower ends. It was like, this is a technical, not technical, this is a big word, a bifurcation. Like the distribution starts to split, and like a lot of people are moving more towards the less end, but then some people are moving more towards the higher end. Yeah.
So overall, there is no age that is too old to have sex. And I think we need to celebrate sex at every age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's easy to explain that in many ways. Like, so yes, age may be playing a factor with some people moving to the having it less, but that also may be that people are having it less because as people get older, like maybe, you
have more free time. You're retired.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I'm saying that there's two reasons. Like it could go down because, yeah, maybe you're getting older, your health is deteriorating. Maybe you lose your partner or something. So you don't have someone to be having regular sex with. So that's very much a possibility. That's one reason why more people could be ending up in those less frequent buckets. But on the flip side, you also have more time available to you. You have no kids around the house anymore. You have no risk of pregnancy anymore.
No responsibilities.
You are unencumbered by all these reasons that used to keep you from having more sex. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, sky's the limit. We can do it whenever we want. Like no risk, no worry about getting caught, no nothing. And so you do have, a sizable group of that population all of a sudden being like, oh, now we're having more sex than we've ever had before. So it does not need to mean, oh, I'm getting older, I can't have sex anymore.
Also, the highest STI transmission rates are with people 65 and older.
Yeah, because they're getting it on.
They are getting it on. We have been going through a really busy season of life right now, and Hungry Root has been such a lifesaver for us. Hungry Root takes all of the stress out of meal times by filling your cart with personalized picks and planning your week of meals. I really love their meals because so many of them come together in 15 minutes or less.
Seriously, emphasis on or less.
Yes, really high quality ingredients. Plus, you can also get snacks, smoothies, sweet salad kits, so many different things. And Hungry Root holds all of its food to super high standards, screening out over 200 additives. They source only high quality meat and seafood with no hormones or antibiotics, have organic produce, non-GMO options. It's seriously our absolute favorite food service. And we have an incredible deal for you today. You can take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/pillow and use code PILLOW. That's hungryroot.com/pillow, code PILLOW to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/pillow, code PILLOW. Chauncey and Maggie are joining us here today to tell you about their absolute favorite podcast sponsor, Chewy. Chewy has over 100,000 products from top pet brands, and they make it so easy to find everything your pet needs to be happy and healthy, all delivered in 1 to 2 days with incredible customer service. They're available 24/7 by phone or chat, and they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can return any item within a year, no questions asked.
Yeah, we got Chauncey and Maggie's bully sticks on Chewy. We got Maggie's medication.
Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewy.com/pillows. That's chewy.com/pillows to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewy.com/pillows. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details.
All right, so let's talk about libido now, because this was the biggest category of questions that we got. Lots of people asking about how libido changes as you get older, being worried about how libido is going to change, or super worried about how it is very much changing currently. So we got a couple libido questions. My husband's drive has gone down, but mine has gone up. Is that normal?
So yes, that totally is normal, but it's also normal for that just to be the pattern. Like I think in male-female relationships, we have this idea in our head that men are supposed to be the ones who want sex more and like they want sex all the time. But we've actually polled our audience and we found that in 45% of male-female relationships, it's actually the woman who wants sex more. So we have a whole podcast episode about that if you want to dive into it. It's called When She Wants It More.
Yeah, what I will say about this, because I'm going through a bit of this myself and starting to learn more about it. And to be super clear, I'm not a doctor, so talk to your doctor about any of this if you're interested in it. But yes, as men get older, testosterone levels tend to decrease and libido tends to decrease with your testosterone. It's not like a 1-for-1 correlation. The way it's been explained to me is that in general, like your libido as a man is not going to disappear unless your testosterone is very dangerously low. Like your entire sex drive is one of the very last things to go. Like you have to be really, really at the bottom end of the scale. That being said, generally higher testosterone levels with also like good health and like not super high stress are probably going to result in higher levels of desire overall. And I think, you know, the interesting thing is that most doctors won't just by default test your testosterone levels unless you specifically ask them to. And also the general like guidelines in the US of like what the acceptable range of testosterone is for men is like on the low end, it's pretty low. And so I think there's a lot of men that don't like trigger a flag with a result. Whereas in reality, if their levels were higher, they might be having a generally higher quality of life. And that was my case for a while. I was kind of in the lower end of the range. A normal kind of like Western medicine doctor would have been like, your testosterone's fine, don't worry about it. I was working with a more like functional type of doctor who was like, look, based on your level of fitness, your activity level, like what you do in life, you would greatly benefit from having much higher testosterone levels. And so I started doing testosterone replacement therapy. For me, it's been really great. It's also been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work because you have to be getting your levels tested a lot. You have to be willing to try different approaches, willing to possibly inject yourself. Like, so it's a whole thing. I'm not going to say go do like everyone should do that because you shouldn't. It can be a real pain in the ass. And you have to be willing to spend a lot and go to the doctor a lot. But it is a possibility. You can kind of take that into your own hands if you want to. So, I'm just going to mention that as a possibility for people.
Yeah, I always hesitate talking about hormones with sex drive because people have this tendency to think that the hormones are the number one thing. And we put all of our, oh, my libido's low, it must be my hormones. And hormones in reality are just one very small piece of the puzzle. There tend to be so many other things feeding into libido. And some of the most common things that we see are actually lack of emotional connection in the relationship, sexual pain, and unpleasurable sex. And those things are trickier to resolve than, hey, let me just go see a doctor and get on some sort of, hormones. So it's always tricky to talk about it. That being said, if you're somebody who all the other stuff is in a good place, and it's just a hormonal issue, you can definitely notice a big difference.
Yeah, because I think ultimately sleep, stress, and fitness are 3 things that are going to hugely play into your level of desire. And especially stress. Stress is such a big one that most people are not willing to accept. And so, yeah, you could jack your testosterone up to the very top end of the range. And if you're stressed the fuck out all the time, who cares? It's not going, you're not going to be like, oh, my libido is sky high. You're just going to be stressed out all the time. That is stress and sleep and just general fitness and health is always going to override your kind of baseline hormone levels. But yeah, it's if you are hey, I'm consistently working on all these things, I'm doing everything right, and it just doesn't feel like I'm feeling the way I'm supposed to, then it's worth considering looking at the hormones. All right. So with that being said, that brings us nicely into our next question, which is how much of a drop in libido is normal before it is a health concern?
This is a really tough one to answer because it's not like there's a number, a gradient or something like that.
What's your libido rating today?
Yeah. But I would say, if you notice a very sudden and to you it feels like, whoa, what happened to me? I don't feel like myself. Then that can be something to check in with a doctor about.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, for me, this really gets back to the big 3 things I just mentioned before this, sleep, stress, and health/fitness. And I think if you are getting really, really, really honest with yourself, because I think the unfortunate reality is most people are not really willing to be as honest with themselves as they need to be about these 3 things. I think most people think, oh, well, it's normal to be really stressed, or it's normal not to really have time to really be invested in my health, or it's normal, nobody gets enough sleep. But if you are able to get really honest with yourself on all 3 of those and be okay, are these things genuinely in a good spot? Are there ways that I could improve any of these things? That is going to be, you're going to get much more bang out of your buck working on that rather than trying to, go see doctors or whatever to figure out your libido. Because honestly, those doctors are going to ask you those same questions. They're going to be all right, how much sleep are you getting? How much stress are you under? What is your fitness look like? So I think get really, really, really honest with yourself about those 3 things. And then, yeah, if you are at a point where you're okay, yeah, I'm really diligent about this stuff and I'm still just not feeling the way that I used to, then yes, absolutely go talk to somebody about it.
Also, I'll say if you feel like you have zero libido, just never have any interest in sex, then that can also be a sign to look out for and talk to your doctor about. That being said, though, you definitely need to check out our episode about mismatched sex drives in relationships. It's from about 2 months ago, where we talk about the 2 sex drive types, spontaneous and responsive. If you're a responsive desire person, you are not going to feel that mental desire for sex out of nowhere. You have to go listen to that episode because this is a really crucial misunderstanding that people have about sex drive. We think it's just supposed to be spontaneous and we're just supposed to get horny the way that we get hungry or get thirsty. And that's just not how our bodies work, especially for us women.
All right. Embarrassing admission. We just recorded a couple accidental takes where I butchered this word. Absolutely. I'm going to try it one more time here. How do I navigate perimenopause and a decreasing drive while helping my husband understand it's not his fault. Say it all with me a couple times, people. Perimenopause.
Is it because it's like a tongue twister for you? Like you've heard this word a million times before. Perimenopause.
It's funny because, yes, I've heard this word many times before. I'm not sure I've actually had to say this word very many times before. I read it a lot. I've heard you talk to me about it a lot. But I haven't been like, hey, Vanessa, what is it like being approaching perimenopause? Oh my God.
You can't say.
Parameni.
It
just doesn't, my mouth doesn't want to do it. Perimenopause.
That's what she said.
Perimenopause.
There you go.
Well, it's just funny. I think what it is because, okay, PER is a normal prefix in English, but peri is not a normal prefix.
Oh my God.
In English, I've never said a word that's it's like periscope, I guess. That's the one thing I can think of. Are there any other peri words? Peri. But periscope, you don't say, it's not periscope. It's periscope. So perimenopause. Perimenopause.
Okay, getting back to the question.
Perimenopause, let's do it.
Okay.
Hey, why don't you read the question again?
Okay.
Since I'm sure everyone has forgotten.
How do I navigate perimenopause and a decreasing drive while helping my husband understand it's not his fault? So I am really glad that we are starting to talk about menopause and perimenopause much more openly, because it's really important for people to be prepared, and not only just for women to be prepared and know what's coming our way, but also for the partners of women to understand what's coming their way.
Can we define what these two things mean, since I couldn't even say it?
Okay, so menopause is when you stop having your period, and perimenopause is a rough umbrella term that is used for the stages leading up to that, where basically women experience really drastic changes in our hormones and so many different systems in our bodies. So I often hear it jokingly referred to as it would be like for men if you just got your balls chopped off. Ooh. Just it's such a huge change. So I am really glad that we're talking about this more openly, because people need to understand what to expect. And so I would suggest you educate yourself and educate your partner alongside you. So again, we're not doctors. We're not going to get into all the medical details and all that. But I think, finding podcast episodes, reading a book, finding, people to follow on Instagram, and showing that content to your partner. So to really help them understand, here's what I'm going through. These are the changes that I'm going through.
Yeah, because look, I guess I'm thinking when I was a kid, we had those you're changing bodies type of things in class, oh, you're going to go through puberty. Here's what's going to happen. I guess that was kind of part of early sex ed. So maybe not in the US now, not every school gets that. I don't even know. In schools that don't do sex ed, do they get the you're going through puberty
I don't know.
content or nothing? But okay, anyway. Even if we all in the US got that type of content, it's okay, we're all on the same page about, all right, in general, here's what puberty is and here's how we change. But there's no all right, now let's talk about how your bodies will continue to change. Mm-hmm. It's puberty is going to bring you into adulthood, and then you get to whatever, the end of puberty, and it's all right, cool, you're an adult. Nothing's going to really change drastically for a while. And I think, and at least men just kind of assume, okay, yeah, it's just, I'm here, or maybe it starts to be a slow decline at some point. But we never talk about, okay, yeah, for women at a certain age, a lot of stuff happens. And it's not just we just kind of slowly decline as we get older. It's a lot of changes happen.
I'm curious to know if people want us to do a perimenopause and menopause specific episode. I will say, I really have resisted it because I'm not a doctor, and I always want to be so careful and respectful of not giving medical advice, not stepping outside the bounds of my license. So we would not talk about it, the medical aspects of it, but I do understand that for a lot of people, of course there are psychological impacts to it as well, which I can speak to. But I will say let us know if that's something that you're interested in. the easiest way is you can leave a little Spotify comment if you're listening on Spotify, or you can come over to Instagram. We're at Vanessa and Xander, and that's Xander with an X. I will say though, I've felt really conflicted myself because I am nearing perimenopause.
You're in the third category, which is early, perimenopause. Oh my God, I still can't say it. Early perimenopause.
There you go. I'm not officially in that stage yet, but I'm getting very close to it. And so I have been trying to educate myself more and have been surprised, like, wow, nobody has been, until I feel like maybe a year ago, people started talking about it more on social. And I'm like, literally for almost 40 years of my life, like I didn't know anything about menopause or perimenopause other than your period stops. But I didn't know anything about like the impacts that it could have, the changes to look out for, the symptoms of it, how big of a change it can feel for so many people. So for like a year, I was just like looking at so much content and learning and like, okay, great. I know more what to expect. This is so interesting. But I've noted I actually had to unfollow or mute pretty much all of the accounts that I was following online because for me, this is just for me, my experience started to be like, I'm getting really freaked out about entering this stage. Like I'm feeling scared and it's feeling like this colossal, horrible thing that's coming my way. And I'm starting to feel anxious about it. And for me, again, this is purely just my experience, but like, I think that there's a big difference between educating yourself and having a heads up and being prepared for something versus being like terrified of it happening. And I'm like, even if I'm going to have some, potentially have some negative symptoms or experiences, like I don't want to be dreading this major season of my life, which, perimenopause can be like 10 years. Menopause, I believe it's like a year without getting your period. That's like officially menopause. So this is going to be a big ass chunk of my life. And I don't want to be like terrified of it. So I unfollowed a bunch of stuff. And I actually found this really interesting, I got to dig this up again, but there was a really interesting cross-cultural study where they looked at what are in each culture, what are the attitudes around menopause? And in the US, like it's a very fear-based attitude that a lot of us have. My life is over. It's going to be horrible. Like this is going to be such a terrible thing. And in other cultures, they look at it as this very positive thing. It's like a reawakening, or it's a freedom because you don't have the risk of getting pregnant anymore. And in cultures where they have a more positive view of menopause, surprise, surprise, women report experiencing far fewer symptoms.
They're literally manifesting positive outcomes for people.
So again, that's like another reason why I've hesitated to cover it since people have, even though people have asked about it so much. But yeah, I just want to be transparent. Those are the things going through my mind. But I think it's important for all of us to find that balance between being knowledgeable and understanding what's coming versus being scared shitless about it. So anyways, let's move on, but I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
One other comment that I want to make about just the way that the question is worded, like how do I navigate a decreasing drive while helping my husband understand it's not his fault? We talk about this a lot, is like sex drive does not need to be the be all end all. If you enjoy sex, you enjoy the closeness that sex brings, or you just enjoy the experience of being intimate with your partner, you don't have to sit around waiting for desire to smack you in the face in order to have sex. Now, it's a different story if you're like, all right, I've been trying to do all the things that get me in the mood, or we've tried to have sex and I'm not self-lubricating, so we're using lube, we're doing all the things, and I'm still not finding any enjoyment in it. That's a different story. But if the reality is like, okay, I'm not fantasizing about it. I'm not like feeling like smacked across the face with desire or whatever, but like it still feels important to you to want to be intimate, to have sex. And the things that your body responds to, and you want to trust that, hey, once we get started, I trust that we are going to have a good experience because we know what techniques work. We know how to initiate, we know how to make each other feel good and get excited. Then don't wait for the desire to hit you. Like do the things that you know are going to get you there. Get started and see what the experience is like. Now, don't push through it if it's really unenjoyable. I'm not telling you to do that. But I do think that, yeah, and this gets back to what you were talking about cultural attitude towards it. If your attitude is, oh, well, once I get older, my sex drive is going to decrease, and so I'm just not going to want sex, then in your mind, you've already primed yourself to think, oh, okay, well, as my desire increases, we just don't do it as much. But the reality is, oh, okay, so maybe I'm not the one initiating it as often, or I'm not the one that is like, I'm not having these exciting, spicy thoughts anymore. That doesn't mean that you can't do it. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy the pleasure that it brings you after you get started, or the emotional closeness that it brings you. And it's kind of like the gym in many ways. Is like, sometimes you are really excited to go to the gym and work out. Oftentimes you are not really excited to go to the gym and work out. But by the time you walk out of there, almost 99% of the time, you are happy that you did it and you're feeling good walking out.
Yeah. Definitely listen to that Mismatched Sex Drives episode, because we talk about a lot how most of us put way, way too much pressure on desire when desire is not the number one most important thing.
Yeah, it's just shifting your expectations. I think, okay, yeah, of course I'm not going to be feeling as much desire, but that does not need to mean that my sex life gets, changes appreciably. And so if that's the attitude that you have, then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is just a puzzle. Like, okay, so I'm not going to feel that desire as much. So, okay, what else am I going to do instead to kind of to maintain this, the sex life or the relationship dynamic that we want to have?
Did you know that 75% of Americans are dehydrated and do not drink enough water and electrolytes? And science shows that staying hydrated often requires more than water alone. That's why we are so excited to partner with Cure, the cleanest way to hydrate. They're made with clean ingredients, zero added sugar, and amazingly tasty flavors. So if you're somebody who just does not like drinking water, but you should be, you have to check out Cure. They have flavors like berry pomegranate, strawberry kiwi, lemonade, watermelon, tropical punch, blood orange, and lime. It is the perfect way to start your day. Hydration goes beyond just drinking water. It's about replenishing the electrolytes we lose through sweat, sleep, alcohol, and daily activities. Water alone is not enough to do the job. That's why you need to try Cure, the electrolyte drink mix that tastes as amazing as it makes you feel. For Pillow Talks listeners, Cure is offering 20% off your first order. Stay hydrated and feel your best by visiting curehydration.com/pillow and using promo code PILLOW at checkout. That's curehydration.com/pillow and use code PILLOW for 20% off your first order. Since you're a Pillow Talks listener, we know you are invested in learning more and bettering yourself, which is why we are so excited to tell you about Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. With plans starting at $10 a month, billed annually, you get unlimited access to over 200 classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. You get thousands of bite-sized lessons across 13 categories that can fit into even the busiest of schedules. You can learn how to eat more ethically, healthfully, and sustainably with Michael Pollan, deepen your relationships at work and home with Esther Perel, one of our personal favorites, build habits that stick with Atomic Habits author James Clear. That was another excellent one. And the classes really make a difference. 3 in 4 surveyed members feel inspired every time they watch Masterclass. Plus, every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/pillow. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/pillow. masterclass.com/pillow.
All right, our next one is how to feel sexy even though my partner and I don't look like our 20-year-old selves anymore. My question is, why do you why do you want to look like your 20-year-old self? Because I know for me, I just turned 40. When I see 20-year-olds now, they look like babies to me. I do not it worries me that I used to find people of that age attractive. I'm like, oh, that's creepy. Like,
Well,
but I
when
guess
you're
back
that
then
age.
it felt different to me. But I'm like, oh God, that person's real young. So I mean, that's my question is like, yeah, why do you want to be your 20-year-old self? Because you are your however old you are self now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm not scared looking at 20-year-olds, but like, I don't expect my body to look like my 20-year-old self because I'm not 20 anymore. And obviously that's so much easier said than truly felt. Like, we do have to acknowledge, especially as women, I'm guessing this question came from a woman. Like, as women, we get so much shitty socialization about our bodies, about aging, so most women feel deeply self-conscious of their bodies and the ways that they're changing. And like, I'm not immune to that. I've definitely had moments of like, oh, that is different now. That's changing. That's starting to head south.
Doesn't help that a lot of like famous older men are with much younger women. That definitely doesn't help the conversation.
Like, or that we see famous older women looking like 20-year-olds.
True.
Jennifer Lopez. I'm like, what?
Well, I don't know if she looks 20 necessarily.
She looks insane, and her body, like, insane. So yeah, we get like a whole bunch of crap just thrown on ourselves. But I think that there's really something to be said about having respect for our bodies at all ages and all stages. Like, you literally can't have your body look like your 20-year-old body. So we can spend all of this time and energy bemoaning the fact that we can't turn back time, or we can find ways to love and respect our body as it is now, to treat our body with kindness just as it is now, and to also see the beauty in aging too. Like, for example, crow's feet. Like, I think crow's feet are really cute. I think that they're, I'm like, that's a sign that I've done a lot of smiling,
yeah.
In my life, and like little smile lines too. So, seeing the beauty in the ways that we're aging, I think gray hair can look really fucking sexy on so many people. I found like 2 gray hairs yet. I'm a little sad, but
she can't wait till I'm a silver fox.
I think you look super, super hot with gray hair, and I think you look way hotter at 40 than you did at 20.
To be fair, I did not take good care of my body in my entire 20s. That's what
I think it's more about. It's like, how are we treating I think you can tell when somebody's treating their body with love, kindness, and respect. And it's not about what their body looks like, but there's just this energy when somebody treats themselves well that is so fucking sexy and appealing. And also, I think that there's something really beautiful about growing old with someone. Like, you and I have spent almost 20 years together. Like, I've seen your body go through a lot of changes. And I think there's something really, really sweet about knowing I'm going to continue seeing it go through a lot of changes. And like, I will love you and your body throughout all of that. And I know you will love me and my body throughout all of that. So it's also just, again, like, I get it. I have my own insecurities. I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect about this, but I think there also is a lot of sweetness for us to lean into with this topic.
Yeah. All right. Can I rephrase my comment before?
About being scared of 20-year-olds?
Well, no, it's not that. But I mean, it's like, look, like you said, we have grown older with each other. We were with each other from our almost early 20s through till now.
Yeah, early 20s.
If we woke up tomorrow and you were back to 22-year-old Vanessa, like, that would be quite a shock for me. And I honestly, like, I love you, babe. I'm not sure if I would feel okay with having sex with 22-year-old
I'm cheating on my wife.
Yeah, I mean, it would feel like I'm cheating on my wife because it's not the wife that I know now. Like, you and like 22-year-old you would look so inappropriately young, would feel so inappropriately young, even if somehow it was still you. And it's a weird thought experiment. But I mean, I think it's another story if your partner, I don't know how old you guys are. It's another story if you're, I'm just going to throw numbers out there. If you're 45 years old and your partner is like talking about how hot 20-year-old women are, and, you know, following 20-year-old women on Instagram and liking their photos and stuff, that's a different story. Like you know, that's to me, that doesn't feel appropriate or respectful. And that's a whole other issue. That's not a referendum on you. Like, that says more about them and who they are. And I mean, I think that's like a serious issue that you want to think about. Like, because like you can't fix that. Like, oh, well, if I just looked younger, then they wouldn't be looking at pictures of other people. Like, if they're 20 years older than 20-year-old women and just looking at 20-year-old women, like, that's another problem. So I just kind of want to differentiate those two situations. All right, let's get into the next one. What are some easier positions that we can do as we get older and start having more mobility issues? Oh, so you're starting to have more mobility issues. What are easier positions that we can do?
Yeah. So, okay, this is a bit of a tricky question to answer because every body is different. I don't know the specific mobility issues that this person's having, but I think this is an opportunity to get curious and creative and see like what is feeling good for your body in this season of life. And I think it's important for us to have that attitude all throughout our lives too, that we like don't get into this rut of, oh, these are the things that we do and just this. Like, we always want to be open and curious and like, oh, what if we tried this? Or what if we tried that? Okay, so that being said, first, a general tip is to find, like, props can really be very helpful. So having like pillows, blankets, we might have something to share with you soon. Just have to drop a little hint there. Just keep a little eye out. The props can really be your friends. Spooning can be a really, oh my God, that's so cute. Sorry, guys. Chauncey's dead asleep next to us, and he's wagging his tail very vigorously in his sleep and twitching. Oh my God, that was so cute. What an angel. Okay, let me get back to it. Spooning, where you're side by side facing the same direction. That can be a really nice, gentle, very easy position. I also like using like the edge of the bed or using chairs or couches. Again, the props kind of are your best friends, like using different ways to get a little bit of leverage so you're not maybe leaning all of your body weight like on your wrists or on your knees or stuff like that. We also do have an incredible guide called the Ultimate Sex Guide that goes through 42 genuinely realistic positions. These are not like crazy acrobatic, not over the top. So we'll link that in the show notes for you. But that can be a really fun way to explore, experiment, find some new positions that are feeling good for your bodies right now.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that as well, because even if you're feeling like, hey, we have a good rotation of positions that we really love. The problem is some of them are starting to hurt or not feel comfortable, or I'm starting to notice like aches and pains afterwards. And it's like, yeah, I totally understand. Like, oh yeah, I don't want to have to stop doing this. I don't know. I'm just giving examples. But like, oh, like we love doggy style, and it feels like afterwards, like my hips are not feeling good, and I don't want to have to stop. I totally get that. I think that it's like as you get older and you're starting to notice that, that's where the actual technique really starts to get more important. I think a lot of us learn how, or think we learn how to do a certain position in a certain way, when in reality, there's actually a lot of variation in how you can do each position and how you can align yourselves, how you move, and all that stuff. And like, that's the coolest thing that we get into in the Ultimate Sex Guide is like, I guarantee you most of the positions that are in your rotation are going to be in the Ultimate Sex Guide. But in addition to just that position, there's all these variations and modifications that most people who do this and get back to us about it are like, oh my God, I didn't realize that there were like 5 different ways to do this position. Or there's like 10 different, ways that I could move slightly differently, where, oh, all of a sudden we can still do that same position. But like, here's like a really simple example. Like in cowgirl, a lot of people think like, oh, like I'm supposed to be like really like bobbing up and down, like all this pressure on my knees. And it's like, no, you can do that. That's like absolutely the porn star way of doing it. But that's really, really hard on your body. I don't even care how old you are. Like imagine you don't even see people like doing squats like that at the gym, right? Like you don't start from the floor and go up a couple inches, right? Like your knees aren't really meant to do that. So yeah, it's like, oh no, like you can, it's more like try to be on your knees and be bouncing up and down. And then if that's hard, hey, try just rocking back and forth or grinding. And it's like, there's so many opportunities like this in so many positions that most people are not aware about. And that's, I think, like, that's the special sauce, so to speak, in what we do. It's not just like, oh, here's 42 positions. I was like, here's 42 positions times multiple variations in each one. So like you will find a way to make it work for you. All right, next up, vaginal dryness with age. How to make it better.
Yeah, this is a thing that happens for sure. You start getting drier. It's just harder for your body to produce the natural lubrication. But a quick point that we need to make about lubrication is it is not directly related to arousal. So you can be turned on, excited to have sex, ready to go, and not at all wet. You can be wet and not at all wanting to be having sex. So don't get yourself stressed out about, oh, this means I have low libido or I never want sex anymore because I'm dry every time. It just naturally is what happens.
It means we need some external lubrication.
Lube is our friend. We recommend it to pretty much every couple. We think that lube really enhances the experience, can just make it so much more pleasurable and decrease discomfort. So lube is definitely going to be your friend here. Highly, highly recommend using it.
And try a bunch of different varieties of lube. That's like the biggest piece of advice I can give you. So many people are like, oh, I tried lube once and it was disgusting and sticky and I didn't like the way it felt. So I guess it's just not for me. And now I'm screwed because I'm dry. And it's no, there's multiple varieties of lube. And also every brand formulates it differently. I've tried plenty that are absolutely disgusting. I will never use those again. But there are some brands that work great for us. And it's just about finding the one that works for you. So don't be like, oh, I tried it once, it wasn't for me.
Yeah. And definitely talk to your doctor if you're experiencing like discomfort, pain, tearing, anything like that. Like there are things that your doctor can do to help with vaginal moisture.
All right, Vanessa. Is it true that your labia change and shrink when you get older? Will that make it harder to have sex?
Okay, this was something that I learned just within this last year. I had no clue. Even as a sex therapist, even all the training that I went through, I never once learned that you can have changes to your labia when you go through menopause. But yes, you absolutely can. It's mostly due to your changing estrogen levels, like a decrease in estrogen. The tissues of the vulva can get a lot thinner. They can lose like their volume and elasticity, similar to like the volume and elasticity in our faces and skin all over our bodies changes as we get older. What the?
Yeah, I was like, you're really looking closely at yourself.
I have like a weird bruise. Where'd that come from?
I don't know.
Well, changes to the body as we get older.
Changes to bruising. Okay. I feel like that's a warning for a lot of things, but.
Okay, so yes, we can notice changes to our labia. Typically the labia minora, the smaller ones that are more like closer to the vaginal opening, these are the ones that don't have pubic hair on them. Those are the ones that tend to experience more of the changes, and sometimes you can even lose them altogether.
Wow.
Like you just don't have inner labia anymore.
Don't get too attached to them.
I have to admit, I was pretty sad when I learned that. I was like, oh my God, like I love my labia. I don't want them to change. But like, of course, they're going to change just like the rest of your body can change. So it can, like for some women, it doesn't have any impact. For some, it can. It can cause like a little bit more tugging, friction. The vaginal tissues are really delicate and susceptible to tearing, so it can like create some discomfort. But again, lube.
Yes, more lube.
Talking to your doctor. There definitely are things that they can do to help out. But yeah, be prepared. If you're loving the podcast and wondering, okay, but how do I actually put this into practice in my relationship?
Well, then you're definitely going to want to check out our membership, Deeper. It is hands down the best and the most affordable way to take your relationship from good to great.
Inside, we guide you through our 5 keys to everyday intimacy: communication, connection, desire, pleasure, and exploration.
And we give you the expert tools you need to strengthen each one. And on top of that, you'll also get access to our core library of courses and guides like the Ultimate Foreplay Guides, the Ultimate Sex Guide, Art of Initiation, and so much more.
Plus, we drop 2 brand new date ideas every month. You get daily Would You Rather prompts, monthly live calls with us, and fun intimacy challenges to keep your momentum going.
And oh yeah, Vanessa AI is there too, your personal on-demand sex and relationship coach that is trained on everything, literally everything that we've ever created. So ask her anything and get instant expert-backed answers.
So if you're ready to communicate better, feel more connected, and turn up the heat on your sex life,
head on over to vmtherapy.com/deeper and use code PILLOW for 25% off your first month, just for Pillow Talks listeners.
Okay, how to keep our sex life exciting as we get older. It feels like we've already tried everything. Really? How do you know?
Okay, well, I mean, here's the thing. So the advice to keep it spicy and to try new things in the bedroom, that actually is good advice. We do have research showing that our brains light up when we try new things with our partner. It keeps our, relationship, our sex life feeling exciting. But that being said, I think that people get a little too in their heads when they think of trying new things, and they think that it has to mean constantly trying new things.
And actual brand new, we have
never done
we
this
never
before.
even thought about this until today.
Yeah. And it's sure, you probably could come up with a million different ways to do tiny little things that are different, but there's really going to be a limit to the amount of new stuff that you can try with each other. So I'd say don't think of it as it has to be brand new, but just think of it as trying to be thoughtful about not getting into a rut. So far too often in relationships, we get this little routine of this is what we do. This is what sex looks like when we have it. And even making small changes initiate in a different way, have sex, flip around in your bed, or maybe go over to the couch instead of in the bed, or try a position that you haven't tried in a while, or play with a toy when you haven't in a while. So it doesn't have to be brand new, but just mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, also think about earlier on in your relationship. I mean, it sounds like you've been with each other for a long time. So here's a kind of a twofer that you can do. This is great for emotional connection and also for digging up ideas for things to keep it spicy, because keeping it spicy doesn't have to be brand new. It can be something that has been out of the rotation for a long time. Think about some of your earlier sexual memories and what were some of the more exciting things that you guys used to do that you don't do that much now. And so actually spend some emotional connection time reminiscing about those and talk to your partner. Hey, I was just remembering that time that we blah, blah, blah. It was so fun. That is going to feel fun and make you feel close. But then also try bringing some of those things back, increase the size of the rotation of things that you're doing. That is just as good as trying something totally brand new. Also, I will throw in a vote for retry things that you maybe tried a long time ago that didn't go so well or you didn't love, because the reality is our bodies change, our preferences change. I don't know, for example, Vanessa and I on my birthday trip last month, we tried a position that we hadn't done in a really long time. I feel like we must not have really done it because it didn't really work for us.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
we retried a certain position because we were staying in a hotel with a bed that was the right height for it. We were like, oh, let's just try this. It was a thing that I totally in my head was I'm not into this. I'm not into this position. Yeah, I just had it in my head that I wasn't into this because it had to do with me standing up. And I had it in my head, I don't like standing, I've never enjoyed standing up sex. And we just did it because the bed was the right height. And it was holy shit. How have I been missing out on this my entire life? Now, the reality is it probably just wasn't that enjoyable when I tried it a long time ago. But we fucking loved it and have reincorporated that into our sex life. And it's oh my God, it's everything went up a notch. And it's just I wonder how many of those things are there that were just kind of disregarded and forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
that actually, if we tried again, would be totally awesome. So I would encourage you to don't feel like, oh, we tried it and it sucked 20 years ago, so it's off the table. Like, yeah, try to dredge up some of the old stuff that you enjoyed, and the old stuff that was like maybe kind of meh, because you might just love it.
Okay, I'm going to give you the last question, Xander. When a man starts having difficulty with getting an erection, what can we do to maintain intimacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really good question. I think the key is that this is not something that you're going to solve for your partner. Like, this isn't like, oh, what can I do to fix this for him? This has to be something that you are willing to talk about together in a non-judgmental and just open and honest way, because this is a reality of what can happen as we age. And so I think that like this is where you need to get down to the kind of the bottom line of what is your partner's experience with this? Like, is your partner feeling like, hey, I'm really bummed out about this. I really want to be able to get an erection, and I want to be able to be having more sex. And I feel like, my difficulties getting an erection are stopping me from having the sex life that I want. Or is it that, yeah, you know what? I am struggling to get an erection, and that doesn't actually bother me. But what's more important is how you feel, what your experience is. I still want to make sure that you're feeling satisfied during sex. Because I think that when we don't have those conversations, it's easy to start making a lot of assumptions, like assume, oh, well, my partner must really want to be having sex, but they can't get an erection. And so I need to figure out a way to get my partner to talk to a doctor about getting on ED medication or something. Or you make the assumption, oh, they must not want that. And it's never goes well when we assume for what our partner's experience is for us. So I think you got to be able to just open up that baseline, real, honest, non-judgmental conversation, because their experience could be wildly different from what you think. And so, yeah, if your partner's experience is, you know what, this is really hard for me. I really want to be having more sex, and I mentally, I really want it, but physically I'm not able to get there. Then, yeah, then maybe you could, kindly encourage them to see a doctor, maybe talk about ED medication, see if that's a good fit for them. Or if on the flip side, if your partner's like, you know what, this is happening, it's really not actually bothering me very much. I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on orgasms, or I'm not coming away feeling sexually frustrated from this. But what's more important is just that you're getting satisfied. Then talk about, okay, so what are some other activities other than P&V intercourse? I'm not even going to say take intercourse off the table, because they can still use toys or tools to basically have intercourse with you without a hard penis. But yeah, so how can we shift our sex life so that you can get the pleasure and the satisfaction that you want? And bottom line too, you can still talk to them about, hey, even without a hard penis, are there ways that I can give you some amount of pleasure or enjoyment from this? So it's really just an invitation to talk about, what do we want our sex life to look like, rather than, I think that so many of us are inclined to bury our heads in the sand when this is happening, because it's like, oh God, it's like a referendum on my manhood, or oh my God, it's a referendum on me as a partner and whether I'm attractive enough for them. And so we at all costs just want to avoid the conversation. I guarantee you it's not about either of those things.
Yeah.
The bottom line is just, what do we want our sex life to look like? And then let that inform, okay, do we need to talk to a doctor? Okay, do we need to shift the activities in our sex life?
Definitely talk to a doctor, though, because there are lots of erection boosting things that can be done these days. Okay, let's wrap up with a couple of sweet messages that we got from our community when we originally posted the question saying, hey, what questions do you have about sex and aging? A bunch of people, totally unprompted, reached out and said, hey, I want to share this message with your listeners. So one person wrote, my confidence has gotten so much better as I've gotten older. I wish I knew that in my 20s.
People overestimate the downside of aging, loss of looks, etc., and ignore the upsides, feeling more free and confident.
It can get better. We're having the best sex now at 57 and 65.
My sex life is better at 41 after 21 years together than it was in the newlywed dates. I mean, that's our situation, absolutely. I wrote that in.
I'm a little offended that they responded like I'm 41 to a post about sex and aging, but all right, we'll take it. This one made me laugh so hard. Is there a science on what age men begin to wear unattractive, tall dad socks and dad tennis shoes? But then somebody totally different responded, as I've gotten older, I am now into ankle socks.
Okay, so sock height is not a correlation to age. And I mean, I will say, I think the kids are wearing high socks
these days.
with shorts these days. That's all the rage. You know, I'm up to date on things. I might be 40, but I'm young at heart. I just want everyone to know that. And I'm just wearing mid-rise socks today. So I'm towing the line.
All right. Well, that's all for today's episode of Pillow Talks. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next week. We release new episodes every Thursday.